Happy morning, children. In today's biology class, we are going to see a new topic, excretion. Right? So, the topic excretion, which comes under the lesson life process. Right? So, in the previous classes, what are the contents that we come across under the topic life process? They are number 1, nutrition, followed by digestion, like how the digestion takes place in the human body, and also followed by respiration, transportation in both plants and in the animals. Right, now we entered into the content which is called as excretion. This is the last topic in the life process lesson. Okay, and how important each and every metabolic process is very important in the survival of the living organism. As I already in each class, I insisted the significance of each and every system. Like that, how the intake of food is important to gain energy, the same way the excretion, that is the removal of the waste product, is also very, very important in the life process. Right, so about that only today in our class we are going to see little detail. So we will see what is excretion. During the metabolic activities, actually, as I already said during the digestion lesson, as I already informed you, what is the metabolic activities? Actually, we will intake the food. The food has been converted into energy with the help of the inhaled oxygen. Right. So during this undergoing this metabolic activities, our body will generate many byproducts that may be considered as a waste. Right. So the unwanted byproducts, that is called as waste. If it is a gaseous waste, that example is carbon dioxide, and nitrogenous waste like ammonia, urea and uric acid. Right, again I'll repeat, during metabolic activities our body will generate some unwanted waste byproducts, so such as the gaseous waste like carbon dioxide and the nitrogenous waste like ammonia, urea and uric acid. So the process of removal of these toxic waste that I already said, the nitrogenous waste and also the waste substances, right? So the removal of all these waste substances from the body of an organism is called as excretion. So this is the definition for the excretion. The removal of toxic waste products from the body of an organism is called excretion. And the excretion, not only the removal of the toxic waste products, but it is also used for the maintenance of homeostasis. Right, the new term, what is called as a homeostasis? Right, it is the balancing the body in both water and also the ion balance inside the body, which is called as homeostasis. Right, so the excretion not only is used for the removal of the waste products, but also which is used for the maintaining the homeostasis. The system of organs that takes part in the separation, collection and the removal of waste products from the body is called as excretory system. So you people, I think, well know about it. Like for each and every system, there is a series of organs which is involved, so that it is called as an organ system. The same way, the set of organs which is involved for the removal of the waste products in our body, then it is called as a excretory system. Right, now we are going to see about the significance of excretion. As I already given a hint about the excretion significance, again we will see few points about it. So number 1, if this question asked in 2-mark question, it will this one will be very easy. This hint will make you to get full marks. Right, so what are the hints? That is number 1, it is used to removal of the unwanted metabolic waste from the body. Right, so during this excretion process, during the metabolic activities, the byproducts which has been secreted in our body, if it is an unwanted waste, then the removal can be done with the help of excretion. So that is number 1. Number 2, removal of toxic chemicals, right? So what is the term toxic here? Toxic means poisonous chemicals, right? So which will be harmful to the tissues and cells. So if certain substances which is present in our body which will causes a harmful effect to the cells and tissues, and if it damages, then it is called as a toxic. Okay, so for the removal of the toxic chemical also, excretion is must. And third one, as I already said, homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Right, the water and the ion balance. Okay, and the fourth one is for the regulation of the water content and the pH. So these are all the 4 major hints which state for the significance of excretion. Number 1, removal of unwanted metabolic waste. Number 2, removal of toxic chemicals which may causes a damage to the cells and the tissues. And third one, homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Yeah, water and ion balance in our body. And fourth one, regulation of the water content and also the pH. Right, so I hope that you're clear till now what is the definition for the excretion and what is the significance of the excretion. Right, now we will enter into the topic excretion in plants. Right, so in each and every topic we had a discussion about how it may take place in both plants and in the animals, like in respiration, in digestion, and also in the transportation. Like that, have you imagined that how the excretion in plants may occur? You may know that from your smaller classes onwards you are studying that how the excretion in animal may take place, as you all well know about the usage of the a kidney and the other organs. But whether have you think about the excretion, how it may take place in the plants? Right, so now we are going to see about that, how excretion takes place in the plants. Right, the amount of the waste which is generated in the plant is very, very small amount. The first statement itself, it shows that the amount of the waste compared to that of the animals, the amount of the waste which has been excreted in the plants is very, very minimum. Why? This is because the plants are considered as autotrophs. Why it is autotrophs? It synthesizes its own food. Right, so in that case, because of synthesizing its own food and metabolic activities also it undergoes, but comparatively to the animal, the plant which will synthesize a very less amount, minimum amount of waste. Now we are going to see how the waste, what are the waste content which has been released by the plant, right? As you all well know that the first one is oxygen and carbon dioxide. As you all know that how the oxygen will be released? Yeah, during the photosynthesis process, and carbon dioxide has been released during the respiration, right? So oxygen and carbon dioxide which has been released as a waste product in the environment by the process called as diffusion, right? So that is a very, very major part in the waste which has been generated by the plant, right? So the number 1 is the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So by photosynthesis and respiration respectively, which has been released into the environment by the process called as diffusion. Number 2, water vapor. So now we are discussing about the waste product which has been released by the plant. Number 1 is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number 2, water vapor. Water vapor, here if you see during the respiration process, it has been released, the excess amount of lossage of the water can be released as a water vapor, and that particular process is called as transpiration, right? So during the respiration, water vapor will be released as a waste product by the process called transpiration. And the third one, organic waste. So number 1 is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number 2, water vapor. And number 3, organic waste. So you may know that like a human being, in the plants also, during the metabolic activities, it may synthesize some of the waste materials, but it can be stored. These organic waste can be stored within the dead permanent tissues. So in the plant tissue, as you know that the permanent tissue, under that some dead tissues will be there. So these organic waste get stored in the dead permanent tissues, and this plant remove these waste. How this okay, if it has been stored simply, and you may think like how it may released out. This can be achieved with the help of like have you seen that like the shedding of leaves in certain period? You can find in the trees like the shedding of leaves, or sometimes the falling of fruits before ripening itself. Sometimes the fruits get shedding out from the tree, right? So shedding of leaves, falling of fruits, and also sometimes peeling of the barks. The tree's barks get peeled out. So these things may occur because of the toxic substance which has get stored in the permanent tissue in the plant, right? So number 1, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number 2, water vapor. And number 3, organic waste. Number 4, it is the excess salt. Excess salt can be removed. Excess salt can be removed along with the guttation, right? So what is called as a guttation? It is nothing, the process of removal of the water, where water drops appear in the leaf margin of some of the herbaceous plant, right? So like the removal of the water, how it may takes place at the edge of the leaf margin in some of the herbaceous plant, which is called as a guttation. So during the guttation, the excess amount of the salt also will get removed. Okay, so again, number 1, how the excretion takes place in the plants. Number 1, the major waste product is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number 2, water vapor. Number 3, organic waste. And number 4, excess salt by guttation. And number 5, some plants store their waste in the wood itself. Some plants it may stored like it won't be stored in the tissue. So if it is stored in the dead tissue, it is used to make the tree to shedding of the leaves and all. But if it has been in some plants, it may stored in the dry woods also. And number 6, if you see in the aquatic plant, the removal of the waste takes place only by the diffusion process. And number 7, it is very important, economic importance, right? So some of the waste products in plants like latex, gums, and essential acids. These 3 are considered as a waste product of the plant. But for these 3, it possesses its own economic importance, right? So latex, as you all know that the latex which is used to produce the rubber, the natural rubber can be produced with the help of the latex. And where this latex gets stored is, it is stored in the lentiferous tissue in the plant. And the number 2 is gums. It is popularly known for the production of the turpentine, right? Gums which is used for the production of the turpentine, and where it gets stored is the resin duct. Gums, it is also called as resin, and it is stored in the resin duct, and which is used for the production of turpentine. And also the third one is essential oils. Beyond that, like some essential oils also will be released by the plant waste, right? The essential oils, this gets stored in the oil glands, various different oil glands of the plants. So among the various waste, these 3 is considered as the economical importance. Why? Because these 3 is used for the various purpose, like latex used for the production of the rubber, and gums which is used for the production of the turpentine, and also various essential oils also produced. So these 3 considered as a economic importance. Okay, and the last one, the toxic oxalic acid. So the oxalic acid, which is we will consider that as a toxic. As earlier, just now I said, what is a toxic? Toxic means poisonous. It will cause a damage to the cells and the tissues. So such a substance is a oxalic acid, and this oxalic acid get detoxified, so it will lose its toxification effect by formation of the calcium oxalate, right? So by producing a calcium oxalate, the toxic oxalic acid get detoxified and it will be produced as a crystallized form. It will be released as a crystallized form. So these are all the very major waste products which has been released by the plants. Again, one more time I will repeat. Number 1, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number 2, water vapor. Number 3, organic waste. And number 4, excess salt. How it will be released, excess salt, through the guttation. And number 5, some plants store their waste in the wood itself. Number 6, aquatic plants. How it will releases the waste? By diffusion. Number 7, even if it is a waste, it is considered as a economical importance. They are latex, gums and essential oils. And the last one is a toxic oxalic acid, right? This can be get removed by the formation of calcium oxalate and it will releases in the form of a crystallized form. And now we are going to enter into the topic excretory waste, right? So till now, what are the things that we come across is, number 1, the definition for the excretion. What is excretion and what is excretory system? And number 2, significance of excretion. And a few minutes back, we had a discussion about the how the excretion takes place in the plants. What are the waste products which get released in the plants? Now we are going to see the excretory waste, the types of excretory waste. So if you see into the types, there are 3 major excretory waste are there. They are nitrogenous waste, respiratory waste and the other waste. Okay. Number 1, first we will see what is a nitrogenous waste. This is formed by the breakdown of amino acids, nucleic acids and proteins. So from the name it is very clear, it will produce some nitrogenous related waste. So how this nitrogenous waste to get produced in the body means breakdown of the amino acids which is present, right? Amino acids or the nucleic acid or the proteins. So as a result, some nitrogenous waste will be released like urea, uric acid, creatinine and creatine, hippuric acid. So these are all considered as a nitrogenous waste. Again I'll repeat: urea, uric acid, creatinine, hippuric acid. So these are all considered as a nitrogenous waste. Among this nitrogenous waste, urea is considered as a highly toxic. Why I'm saying is a highly toxic is, even if this urea present little more content in the body, then even sometimes it may leads to cause death. So the urea, which is considered as a high toxic substance, right? So this is what about the nitrogenous waste. So again I'll repeat, the nitrogenous waste, how it will produce in the body? By breaking down during the metabolic activity, by taking the proteins or whatever the substance if you take during the metabolic activity, it will break down, it will get breakdown, right? So while breaking down the substance like amino acid, proteins and nucleic acid, the nitrogenous waste will get produced. And among the nitrogenous waste, urea is considered as highly toxic. Now the second one is respiratory waste. So as we all know that it is formed due to the oxidation of the respiratory substrates. So in the respiration lesson topic itself, we discussed about it, while getting the respiratory substrates like glucose, the carbohydrates, right? So while undergoing the oxidation of these substrates, it releases carbon dioxide and water. And the third one is, what are the other waste? Yeah, so just now, a few minutes back, as I said, for the plants like that, the other waste here has been listed as oxalic acid, lactic acid, minerals, drugs, vitamins, hormones, and we can list it out still more waste. Again, on more time I'll repeat, some of the other waste products are oxalic acid, lactic acid, minerals, drugs, vitamins and also hormones. And salts are excreted by the kidney. So if it is a salt, generally it may get excreted with the help of a kidney. And this is very important. Once if the hemoglobin breakdown takes place. From there it produces the bile pigment. So the wastage of this while undergoing the breakdown of the dead hemoglobin, right? The hemoglobin, that is RBC, it contains a red pigment which is called as a hemoglobin. Once if the dead RBC breaks down to produce a pigment which is called as a bile pigment. This is also one kind of a waste in the body, right? So now again one more time we will see excretory waste. It is of three major types. They are nitrogenous waste, respiratory waste, and also the other waste. So under the nitrogenous waste, the very highly toxic substance is a urea. The second one is respiratory waste, that is carbon dioxide and water, and other waste that we have listed like oxalic acid, lactic acid, minerals, drugs, vitamins, and also hormones. And as I said, the breakdown of the hemoglobin to produce a bile pigment, right? So now we will see the topic excretory organs in the lower animals, right? So till now we have come across to the excretory organ or else the excretion, how it takes place in the plants. Now we will enter into the lower animals, how the excretion may take place in the lower animal. You may think that how it may take place in the human being. Yeah, so as you know very well that the excretion in the human being takes place with the help of the major excretory organ is kidney, right? So like kidney in the lower animals, we are going to see the various organs are there. Not only the kidney alone will be used as a excretion for all the organism. It will be act as for some higher animals and also for the animals, human beings. But for the lower animals, you are going to see there are some other organs also act as an excretory organ. Now we will enter into the topic. Number 1. Yeah, for the unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium, the waste like carbon dioxide. So it has been very clearly insisted in the the previous topic itself. Unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium, the waste like a carbon dioxide will get excreted only through the process called diffusion. Okay, and this diffusion where it may undergo means through the cell membrane, right? Through the cell membrane the diffusion may takes place if it is a carbon dioxide. But if it is a nitrogenous waste, then it gets released through the contractile vacuole. Okay, so just see the amoeba. Right here, the amoeba, as I already said, if it is a gaseous waste, that is a carbon dioxide, it get released through the process called diffusion. And if it is a nitrogenous waste, it has been get released through the contractile vacuole. How you may imagine how using a contractile vacuole this nitrogenous waste will get released means. This is nothing sometimes the water and other substances just get into the contractile vacuole, and through that it will slowly get swells and it to a certain position it will get blast. So while bursting out all these substances, the nitrogenous waste get burst out along with the cell. So in such a way it undergoes in the amoeba and paramecium. In unicellular organism, if it is a gaseous waste, undergo by diffusion. If it is nitrogenous waste, it has been released through the contractile vacuole. And number 2, flame cells like kidney. In case of a flatworm, the excretion takes place with the help of flame cells. What is the name of the cell? Flame cells. Flame cells in the flatworm. Okay, and the third one, in case of a earthworm, Annelida, right? So in case of a earthworm, the excretory organ is 2. Either the excretion may takes place through the organ called nephridia. What is the name? Nephridia in earthworm, right? And one more way is through the moist skin of the earthworm. So in earthworm the excretion may takes place with the help of a nephridia and also through the moist skin. Okay, and the fourth one is in case of the prawns and also in the crabs, that is the crustaceans. Okay, the prawns and crabs, the excretion undergoes with a gland called as green glands, right? So what is the name of the gland? Green glands. Green glands, which is used as an excretory organ in prawns and the crabs. And in case of the insects, arthropods, right? So in case of insects, it possesses a Malpighian tubules. It possesses Malpighian tubules, and which acts as a excretory organ in insects. And the last one is the mollusk, right? So in case of a mollusk, it contains a kidney. Either it may possess one or even two pairs of kidney in case of a mollusk. So these are all some of the excretory organs present in the lower animals, right? Number 1, amoeba and paramecium. If it is a gaseous, undergo by diffusion. And if it is a nitrogenous waste, it has been released through the contractile vacuole. Number 2, flame cells, right? In case of a flatworm, flame cells. 3, nephridia in earthworm. Okay. 4, green glands in prawns and crabs. And 5, Malpighian tubules in case of the arthropods, that is insects. And the last, in case of the mollusk, it contains one or two pairs of kidney. So these are all the excretory organs which we have seen in lower animals. Okay, children. So one more time, can we recap the topic what we studied in this class? Number 1, what is excretion, right? The definition for the excretion and what is the significance of the excretion, right? So what are the major significance of the excretion? Removal of the waste products and also removal of toxic products, and also the major thing is homeostasis, that is water and iron balance in the body, right? So these are all some of the significance of the excretion. And followed by the significance, we come across how the excretion takes place in the plants, right? And in the excretion takes place in the plants in the sense like what are the major products act as waste products in case of the plants and how it gets removed. And the next topic that we come across is excretory waste types. What are the excretory waste types? That is nitrogenous waste, respiratory waste, and also some other waste, right? Nitrogenous waste, among that urea is considered as a highly toxic product, and respiratory waste, carbon dioxide and water. And among the other waste, the major thing is the bile pigment. What is the bile pigment? Right. So the dead hemoglobin breakdown produces a bile pigment. And we studied what are the I hope that this video makes you to gain the basic concept of excretion. So in my next class, I'll explain you about the human excretory system. Thank you, children.